Mm.
Oh, hey Jay, how are you?
Good.
Good, good, good. Um, I'm Gail Wolf, and I do intuitive work and channeling for people. And this is my good friend Dr. Jay Eaker.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello, in his deep, sexy voice. Hello.
Thanks to my new microphone, huh?
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good next to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. A good looking
I make
microphone.
I make this look good.
You make the microphone looks good. That indeed.
I'm Jay
Cool.
Eaker,
Yep.
and yeah, I work on well, I navigate the river of chi. I help connect people to their soul's essence and their soul's gifts so they can share those gifts on the planet, on this through their physical body on this physical plane. And this is the New Consciousness Now podcast. And we're reaching ever so slightly into the future to grab the new consciousness and bring it into the present
Bring it
and
into the
anchor it here.
right now, the here and the now,
Right.
the here and the now. Um, awesome.
How have you
So
been
we were
doing?
just, I've been good, been good, been busy, been practicing my social distancing more by default of where I live more than by practice.
Mm-hmm. It's
One
not
of the one of the benefits of living in rural Illinois.
right. Not too busy where you are, huh?
No,
Is that a small town? Or
yeah,
do you live in town? You don't live in town. You live
no,
outside of
don't
town.
live in town. Live out in the country, about 6 miles outside of a town of 1,900 people.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh.
so yeah, the largest town.
How many coronavirus deaths of that 1,900 people?
I don't think anyone even has it here. There's
No, I was
in
joking.
it's funny. Well, it's funny. It's not funny, but even in the entire county that we're in, and I don't know the population of the county, but I believe so far there's been one confirmed case.
Mm.
And but like so many things, we are in the very middle of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and um, things come here a little slower. We're
Sure.
usually a couple years behind the coasts as far as
Mm-hmm.
music or style
Mm-hmm.
or these sorts of things. So
Motorized vehicles and
right, exactly.
telephone.
We had our first car with rubber tires on it enter the county about, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. So it was really kind of a big moment.
Wow. Nice.
uh,
Well,
I
no
do
wonder
think,
it's
to be honest, we did get McDonald's. I think it was about 7 years ago. So
wow.
that was a big moment.
Cool. I
Yeah,
bet they were excited.
yeah, I think so. I hope they're doing great. I would know. I've never actually been inside of it, so I've just
Good
been
for you.
passed.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I like putting other things in my body besides what they produce. So
Right.
it just feels better.
It's probably smart.
Probably, probably. I know my body thanks me for it every time I
Mm-hmm.
don't have it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah,
Well,
yeah. So
what,
um, yeah.
what's
So
been?
we were chatting about the coronavirus, some of
Mm-hmm.
the social distancing and stuff that's going on,
Right.
and all the things.
Conversely, I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, or close to Boulder, Colorado, and
Yes.
yeah, it keeps sort of like ratcheting up. The intensity keeps sort of ratcheting up. They went from, you know, they closed down the schools to closing down non-essential businesses to, you know, 6 feet distancing to In the stores, you go to a grocery store and they have marks on the floor to stand 6 feet from the person in front
Yeah.
of you, and a
Yep.
plexiglass window in front of the teller or the checkout person, excuse me, so you don't spit on them or vice versa. And, people were scoffing at masks not too long ago, but now the governor is suggesting we all wear masks. And so you see lots of people with masks, and people on Facebook are freaking out, going back and forth about, they see kids playing outside, not observing social distancing, and they rail on them, and then that sets off a whole 200 comments about this or that. So a lot of people are pretty tense. You go to the grocery store and people don't want to look at you. It's pretty tense.
Yeah. And that's actually, we were just talking about this before jumping on here. It's, where I'm at, it's not as prevalent, and people generally here don't participate in the mainstream as much. People here
Mm-hmm.
tend to we kind of got our own set of rules here, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever goes
Mm-hmm.
goes. It's not like yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I went to the grocery store a couple of days ago, or wherever it was, and yeah, there were some people who had masks on, and
Mm-hmm.
some people who didn't, and some people who were keeping distance, and other people who were rubbing elbows and having
Mm-hmm.
conversations like nothing was going on. And yeah, so it was really a mixed bag,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't see any tenuous situations or anything.
Didn't really feel tense. I mean, even if someone's got masks on, it didn't feel, I don't know.
There was, yeah, I mean, there was definitely a different vibe. There's definitely a different vibe in the air, and there's a certain degree of there was a certain stillness or a certain quiet that was there in the air that isn't normally present.
Right.
And
That's true.
that 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 was interesting to kind of just to
Mm-hmm.
be around that a little bit. So um that's just different. It's a different world we're living in right now.
That's for sure.
And I honestly don't think that it's going to go back to the way it was. Um,
Mm-hmm.
not without some sort of not without some sort of changes being made, at least for a short period. Um,
What do you mean?
well, I mean, you can't have this much fear be built up without people having some sort of a demand on our government or those who are in charge to keep them safe or take
Mm.
measures to keep them safe. And people always, in our world want some sort of a justice, or um, some sort of someone to blame, or some action to reconcile what has been,
Mm.
and it always seems to fall on the people who have power or governance,
Mm.
and it's like, well, this happened, so therefore what are you going to do about this to make sure
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to go through this again?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, when it comes to getting back to life as we know it, I think that that will be the case. But I think that they're going to want to do some different things to ensure that it's not what it was. People are going to want to see some sort of action, some sort of restitution,
Mm-hmm.
even if that means their civil liberties are
Mm.
less or gone,
Right.
or whatever that looks like.
I
So
see every once in a while on Facebook, I see stuff like that. People saying, "Wow, this is going on. They're taking away our civil liberties." And I've been in the habit of sort of like scrolling past anything that's really, um, you know, just divisive like that. Doesn't seems not serving me.
yeah, yeah.
Get wrapped up in stuff, but
I,
I don't know
I
exactly what civil liberties are being taken from us. I'm not sure exactly what's going on.
well, I think looking. I can cite one article I saw, as I was cruising through Facebook the other day, and it was that Bill Gates was on there talking about doing um, mandatory shots,
Vaccines.
vaccines for
Mm,
everyone
mm-hmm.
before any mass gatherings can happen again.
Right.
This is what he's proposing. Of course, never
Mm-hmm.
mind the fact that he's invested millions into this in foreign countries and spent millions testing it in foreign
Uh-huh.
countries. And so, um, once you start looking at the backstory of who is saying what, you start to kind of go,
Mm-hmm.
how valid is this? And is this really what we want?
Mm-hmm.
And in truth, everything that has been coming through intuitively and so forth around this it's this whole time right now is really a huge energetic squeeze into discerning what's true for you
Mm-hmm.
and what do you want,
Right.
because right now it's a crapshoot. We've never had a time period ever that we're aware of, or at least that in our lifetime, where you can essentially believe anything you want about the current situation. And there is a quote unquote expert who has either a study or
Mm-hmm.
has some sort of verification to
Mm-hmm.
justify the
Right.
way that you think. And
Right.
so when you have that, you can choose to believe whatever you want, and you can be
Mm.
completely justified in it,
Yeah.
and you can actually cite experts or so
Sure.
forth who
Yeah.
back it up
The whole study thing. Like that's what I feel like. You could just find a study to back up anything that you want to believe. It seems.
anywhere. Yeah. Is salt good for you?
Right.
No. Yes.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so much of it too, which I think is fascinating. If you remember, do you remember NutraSweet?
Hey, before we get too well, at some point, Can I tell
Yeah.
you what I? You can keep going with where you were going,
Sure.
but can at some point you think I can tell you what I heard about Bill Gates?
Oh,
You keep going if you want, but
well, yeah. Actually, this will dovetail right into probably what you want to say. Who knows? But for example, like if do you remember NutraSweet and they're talk or aspartame,
mm-hmm,
and it came out and this was right before George Bush was president, and they're
mm-hmm,
talking about aspartame and how
right,
it's not good for you. They did all these studies on it, and like, yes, it deteriorates your brain, it deteriorates your liver, it does all these different things that are not good for you. Stay away from it. Go to sugar. All right. So walk in. In comes George W.
mm-hmm,
Who came in with him? Rumsfeld.
mm-hmm,
Rumsfeld was one of the CEOs of the
right,
mass producers of aspartame.
sure,
And ever since he got in, all of a
mm-hmm,
sudden you didn't hear anything else about those dangers. That was
right,
completely gone. And all of a sudden you started seeing natural sweeteners and stuff
mm-hmm,
mass produced and all over the place again.
right,
You never heard a word about it, but
right,
if you look at the backdrop of who's in power and
sure,
what is okay or not okay in our society, you really start to see how we're either manipulated or what's
right.
okay or what's not okay.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of that goes on in government where
Tremendous. It's
uh,
tremendous.
what do they call them? Lobbyists. Like
Yeah.
you're pressing a certain issue and people pay you to press the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people have so much power. People who have all sorts of in big business and whatnot have lots of power to sort of and lots of money to sort of influence things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and serve themselves. Seems.
Yep. Yep. So it was
Can I tell you what I heard about Bill Gates?
I'd love to hear what you've got to say about Bill Gates.
So, you know, it's coming from where I come from, the Midwest. There, I grew up in Nebraska, conservative, conservative spot in the United States. And then I came to Boulder, and there's some farther out ideas here, and there's some conservative people here in Colorado too. But just feel like I've been sort of like straddling all sorts of viewpoints. But there's this one, and so I let myself go to watch some of the sort of far out stuff. And there's this guy, I uh, tentative to mention his name because he's someone who I think who, um, lots of people watch, but no one wants to admit it. And this David Wilcock guy, he's kind of he's in the sort of conspiracy theory, I don't know, new
Sure.
age, sort of new science, aliens, all this sort of thing. Actually, I ran into they were filming here at Gaia, which is just up the street from my office. Actually, here
Oh wow.
there's
Uh-huh.
lots of people might have Gaiam TV or Gaia
Yep.
TV have
Yep.
had that, and they film right up the street here. Their headquarters is right up the street, and so I ran into David Wilcock and one of his associates at the Alfalfas right over here when I was getting some lunch,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, David Wilcock, hey, what's up? Like I've been watching your stuff, and he was with someone, and he introduced me to one of his associates as this is so and so. He autopsied over 200 alien bodies. I was like, that's how he sort of like opened up. That's the first thing he tells me about this guy. This is like, wow, it's crazy.
Uh,
Um,
and what was your name?
right. Uh, and but they're like, I talked to them and they're like normal. It's like, it's weird. Like they're normal people. It's just that this is their world. They're into all this stuff. But I was just watching something that he was putting on a few days ago, and he says he was pointing to this article about how Bill Gates, he's involved with there was a Bill Gates and a bunch of other wealthy people, the Rockefellers and people like that got together, and they were wanting to meet about the problem of world overpopulation. And he's saying that they're, how do they address the problem of overpopulation? So
Sure.
uh, implying that they are interested in reducing the population, the size of the population. And I guess that's something that's a theme within this sort of deep state, or the sort of, if you go with that idea that there's some people that's sort of an overarching umbrella of power that's sort of like playing all the different sides against the middle and sort of controlling things in order to sort of control and gather up, resources and gather up power. But that Bill Gates is kind of connected with this sort of deep state, and the theme that uh, that goes along with them is that they want to reduce the population of the United States, or not just the United States, the world. They want to reduce the population by a greater amount. But anyway, that Bill Gates is associated with that.
Oh,
And yeah, here he is, under the guise of, wanting to help people with vaccines and whatnot. But
mm-hmm.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
saying that, implying that, vaccines there's something going on in the background.
Sure.
That's not all about just trying to help us, trying to
Mm, sure. I
help
mean, they've
humans.
they've made the flu vaccine extremely accessible to people. Where I think you used to have a nurse or something give you a shot for the flu, and now you can go into any Walgreens and they'll stick a needle in
Mm-hmm.
your arm, and here you go.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's
I always
like,
see there's always these signs, yeah, at Walgreens or at the grocery store. Yeah, just like get your discount flu vaccine here. It just feels like, well, no
and
thanks.
what's interesting is I've got some good friends who are like, yes, you must have it, and
Mm-hmm.
how, like, you're just irresponsible if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe in vaccines at all, not even a little bit, to be honest with you. And I
Mm.
and I know that they have,
Here we go.
curtailed.
Here's one of those topics on Facebook that just like,
It goes crazy. I know,
and I don't know,
but
putting this on YouTube, uh, things like this, they talk about censoring things like this on YouTube. So that would be interesting to see
oh,
if we get kicked off YouTube, which is okay. I don't care.
oh, you're not supposed to have an opinion anymore,
Yeah, I don't know. Not
or
about certain things.
does it
Not
have to be
about
the?
certain things that are, yeah, somehow that topic, for instance, like vaccines, is fake news. If you don't want to be someone who claims that vaccines are controversial in any way, like if you go against the idea that you're anti-science, if you go against vaccines. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, all good, all good. Um, I know that they've helped in different places, and it's been good in certain places for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that you don't necessarily need to keep shooting people up with polio if there's no
Mm-hmm.
polio. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to keep
Right.
shooting people up with tetanus if there's no
Right.
tetanus.
Right.
Just like you don't need to keep shooting everyone up with everything. And the same
Right.
thing with the flu. And honestly, every single year, or my understanding of the flu is that every year there's a different mutation that goes
Mm-hmm.
through people, and that when you get the flu shot, it's like a 1 in 60 something chance that you're actually
Mm-hmm.
going to get inoculated with the strain that goes around.
Right.
So it's a total
Right.
gamble
Right.
into is this actually effective, or are you just wasting your money? And
Mm-hmm.
so many people, they get that flu shot and they kind of go through 2 or 3 days where they don't feel so good a few days later, and then they're
Mm-hmm.
fine, and then they go, oh, I didn't get it, but I had to feel
Mm-hmm.
not great for a few days to not get the flu.
Right.
Well, what did you
Right.
have then? It's
Right.
just kind of, it just kind of cracks
Right.
me up a little bit.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, well, that sounds
Yeah.
very responsible.
Yeah.
But uh
My opinion on I do a lot of thinking about this, have thought a lot about this because it is so controversial. And I always think like, what's the
well, you have a
coming
daughter.
from the chiropractic world,
Yeah.
coming from the chiropractic world, they're just like sort of rabidly against vaccines. And that's kind of the world that I come out of. And I've had that attitude, but I just sort of see how like oppositional it is, on Facebook. I think that's one of the ways that if there is an overarching sort of deep state, I think one of the ways that they control us is to get us like sort of, bouncing back and forth against each other.
Oh yeah.
Uh, choosing one's polar opposite sides of an issue and getting us to just like, hit each other over the head with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if I straddle both sides? And I think like, yeah, you can, okay, let's say, yeah, vaccines maybe have been a really good thing. They work to some degree. They work. Um, and like, we're not the same people, people claim like, well, they cure what about polio? What about, I don't know what else, smallpox? What about, some pretty terrible things that vaccines seem to help? There are people who claim that, those things started to, like, for instance, polio, they point to some sort of graph that showed that polio cases were sort of tapering off before the vaccine was introduced, and that it was just yeah, our group immunity or whatever was kicking in, or our
Yeah.
conditions changed that were changing that, and then the vaccine was introduced. But let's say they worked, they've done great things for us, and it's like we're not the same people anymore. We're different than we were then. The
Hmm.
situation is totally different. So it just sort of feels like, um, great. Uh, that was a good thing then, but we're totally different people. We have access to
Yeah.
totally different technology and totally different consciousness, and
Well,
so we're not the same people. So I don't think the same old. I think we can do better somehow than the vaccines sort of seem like kind of dirty and in
Yeah.
general, and sort of like outdated and sort of dirty. It's like you're just pushing this, we're designed to sort of interact with the environment through our skin, through our lungs, through all these different sort of gateways to sort of interacting with the environment. And by the way, there are 10 there are 10 times more microbes in and on our bodies than there are cells in our bodies. So it's not like we're separate from the environment. We are merged with the
Well,
microbiome.
we are literally mostly bacteria. From what
Right.
I've read, like we are actually, our bodies are more bacteria than we are anything else.
On some level. I saw they say like they measure the amount of, if you weigh 150 pounds, that, there's a certain percentage of that. What percentage of that is actually
Bacteria.
bacteria and viruses, microbes, bacteria and viruses. And, there's, it's not a huge, I don't know, it's maybe like five, don't quote me on this, but it's like maybe 5 pounds of you or something is
Yeah,
microbes.
that's
But
wild.
I was going somewhere with that. Um, let me just finish my thought if I can.
Sure.
Uh, that, well, maybe I lost it.
Oh, you're talking about the dirtiness of getting
Oh
shot with
yeah. So yeah, it
vaccines
just
and
feels
whatever
like,
involved.
oh yeah, I was saying that, their body's designed to sort of interact with the environment, but vaccines just sort of like shove it right past through all those defenses right into your blood, along with, whatever else might be in there. So it just kind of seems like kind of a clunky. Yeah, they work, and seems like, yeah, they can do damage also.
Yeah.
There's that potential, and that, yeah, it's because they're dirty and kind of clunky on some level.
Yeah.
So I
And
feel like we could do better, I feel like.
I think a part of, I think it just also kind of dovetails into a larger picture too of, there are people who see the world in a state of stasis, and those who see it in the world, see the world as we are actually evolving. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for example, you look at even something like, okay, so we'll stick with this theme of the virus, you know, or vaccines or whatever. you know it's like some people don't believe that we are evolving, that
Mm-hmm.
if you get a virus, that virus is always going to act the same inside the body, and the human body does not evolve to the point to be able to handle that virus. And the fact is, we do. The human body is smarter than the medicines that we create by far.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and here's a little something, and I can't believe I'm gonna say it out loud for other people to hear this, but there is a part of me
Oh.
that wonders, why don't they just leave this coronavirus alone and let it run its thing? Because
Sorry.
right. No, and
There's
I'm
no
just
one over there to cough on.
and I'm just putting this out there as devil's advocate a little bit, just to kind of play this out to the
Mm-hmm.
extreme. And I'm not saying this is what I believe or what we should do, because I really don't. Not even a little bit. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
preface what I'm about to say with that, because I don't think this is the answer. But I actually I do believe that if we let the coronavirus just run its course, that we as humanity, we would develop the antibodies on our own, and
Mm-hmm.
it would never be another thing again.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like, if you, like, let's take it something really simple. If you date someone and that person treats you like garbage, and
Mm-hmm.
you have the experience of being treated like garbage, you're like, you know what, I don't like the way this person treats me.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to date this type of person again. In fact, I'm going to break up with you and we're done. The next time you're out and you're dating, someone starts to treat you that way, you go, no, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to date you anymore either.
You've
So it's
developed
like
antibodies.
you've developed your dating antibodies. your jerky
Right.
antibodies. And
Right.
so to me, our bodies do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
um the same, the same holds true of if you look at the planet and pollution and the global warming or cooling
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
the planet's alive, and a planet knows
Mm.
how to handle itself. And
Mm-hmm.
there are ancient civilizations that are finding underneath Antarctica, which means
Mm-hmm.
at some point people lived there, and those people got wiped out because of temperature or cold or
Mm-hmm.
something, right? And so doesn't it stand to reason that we would still be in some sort of a cycle, and that what's happening on the planet now has been exacerbated potentially by pollution? Not that pollution is
Mm-hmm.
good in any form, but we
Mm-hmm.
are also seeing a natural cycle that the earth goes through. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not advocating pollution either, not by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's disgusting what we've done to this planet.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that we are experiencing evolution, and that it is things are constantly in motion and constantly changing, and we weigh them against a backdrop that states that life is stagnant, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We so much of what we try to do in humanity is to control or mitigate discomfort or what we don't
Mm-hmm.
want, rather
Mm-hmm.
than receive what is and move through it
Mm-hmm.
with the natural
Mm-hmm.
rhythms of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And there we've got so many examples in our world of how we have stepped in and tried to control things and just made a friggin' mess. you know
Right. Control. Mm-hmm.
Control, control, stop that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just did a video
So
the other day
it's
on
all very,
control.
very, very fascinating.
Mm.
Ah,
When things,
yeah.
we're trying to, there's just a way in which all these different levels that we're trying to keep things the same, keep ourselves the same, maintain the same thing we got going on in our lives, but life is trying to get us to evolve. And we hold, I think, sometimes, often getting sick is the burning off, getting us to stop and pay attention and burn off that energy that's bound up as a result of trying to maintain control. And of course, getting sick, uh tests. There's one thing that happens when we get sick is we lose control,
Yep.
you know and
Yep.
that's scary for people. Kind of touches on a primal fear.
Yeah.
um,
Depression is the same thing. You lose control. you
mm,
have you have this density in you that you don't like, and it's like emotional, it's an emotional collapsing
mhm,
into stillness is really what it is.
mhm,
And
mhm, mhm. Right.
mhm, it's an emotional collapse into stillness. You're supposed to be happy
Mm,
and smile, damn it. And yet
all
there's
the time, yes.
all the time you've got to be happy.
Right.
If you don't have that smile on, well, then you better not leave the house.
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know we're so
Right.
afraid to let our body's natural rhythms
Mhm.
work within the parameters that they can.
Yep. Yep, our bodies and our lives are not effing with us.
No.
I think they're trying
We're
to
effing
help
with
us
them.
out. I think they'll be like, "Come on, come this way, come this way. I know it's uncomfortable, but just come over here. We got this. We got it
You
for
can
you.
do it. You can do it.
We
You
got
got
it.
it.
You don't have to control so much.
That's it.
You don't have
That's
to
it.
have this figured out in your mental. You don't have to have this figured out." Yeah.
That's cool. That is interesting and cool. Speaking of control,
Mhm.
and everything that we're in the middle of, we're in a place of, with the coronavirus and everything else, we're at this place of great unrest, if you will, and talking about the deep state like we were earlier, and things, and the idea of control. um yeah, it's definitely prevalent, definitely out there. And my sense of all this is that this is exactly what we're letting go of, and
Exactly
kind
what
of,
we're letting go of. Is that what you said?
yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to
Let go of
um,
what? Let go of control?
let
Let
go of
go of what?
control. Let go of control. It's like that's what we're in the middle of. For
Mm-hmm.
example, like on the path of enlightenment, if you read stories of all these people, and like this person or this being, this whatever, meditated for years and years and years, and finally just surrendered, and then saw the light.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a fundamental thing going on here. In meditation, you're operating on the idea that there is a fundamental split in your in your personality and who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a split, and I'm going to try to bring it together. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
reunify it. And then on the parallel, and so that's more of like a pushing forward to make it happen sort of path trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the other side of it, which is tantra. Tantra is to just flow with everything,
Mm-hmm.
receive everything as it is, and
Mm-hmm.
just take it into your being and just roll with the natural flow
Mm-hmm.
of it all. So they're essentially opposites.
Let it happen versus make it happen.
Exactly. And it's not to say that meditation has no place, because it certainly does, but it's not the ultimate truth isn't realized until you stop trying to meditate and just let go.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when those moments happen. It's not when you're sitting on the cushion working your tail
Mm-hmm.
off, although you
Mm-hmm.
do reach some pretty interesting states doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The deepest states I've experienced have happened when I'm not trying at all,
Mm-hmm.
where they just kind of happen,
Yeah, I think
where you just receive
right,
what's there.
right.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we're evolving into,
Mm-hmm.
because there is
But
you
both
know
of those forces are sort of inherent in nature, aren't they? I mean, if
yeah,
you if
it'd be,
you if you just always, you know, just are always on the side of letting it happen,
yep,
um, I don't know, can't that lead to sort of like spiritual bypass? And I mean, like my experience
totally,
just inherent in this world anyway, maybe in some other world the physics are different, I don't know, but that this sort of expansion and contraction, or there's always these two forces that, you know, are in play. And if you
yeah,
like lean to
eh,
one or the other, you kind of don't have, you're not grasping the whole thing.
yep. It's like it's essentially like yin and yang. If like
Right.
meditation would be more of a like yoga, for example, is a
Mm-hmm.
masculine process.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this thing. You are
Mm-hmm.
exerting yourself to have a
Mm-hmm.
result. And tantra is just like, I'm just flowing. That's
Mm-hmm.
feminine. You just
Mm-hmm.
flow with what is. You receive it. You
Mm-hmm.
take it in. You like drink it in, and
Mm-hmm.
let it move through you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, it's like you've got to have this natural balance. And if you look at the patriarchy that has ran the world for the last while,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the deep state. It's like, we
Mm-hmm.
are going to control. We are going to
Mm-hmm.
exert force.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a quality of the mind. And when the mind decides to exert itself,
Mm-hmm.
the mind has to be the one to exhaust itself. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you look at
That
like
sounds deep.
right, but if you look at like where we started the conversation, and maybe we've got this recorded and maybe not, I don't remember, but essentially it's like, all right, we've got all these people who have all these opinions, and we have all these experts that can verify these opinions. So you can feel justified and
Mm-hmm.
warranted in virtually anything you think, and you
Mm-hmm.
can find some sort of example somewhere to back up the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
We have that happening on a massive collective right now,
What is the truth, Gail?
whatever it will become.
I want the truth.
Right. I think that's what, well, I believe that that's what we're discovering right now, because you know at some point, when there's been so much fighting, and it's when you get an argument with somebody, at some point you just have to walk away, or there's got to be something to dissipate the tension, right? There's got to
Mm-hmm.
be a release and some sort of an acceptance
Mm-hmm.
of what is. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
have the anger, then you have the acceptance, and then you have the tears, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have the love that comes in afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Your
And
heart breaks
so
open.
your
Mm-hmm.
heart breaks open. That you let go of whatever it is and just accept things for as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Right.
like that is the climax that we are in right now with this virus and in our
Mm.
societies. That we're at this point where where there's so many fragmented personality or perceptions about what's true and
Mm-hmm.
what's not true,
Mm-hmm.
that we're in this phase right now where you can argue and you can push and go back and forth, and nobody's more right and nobody's more wrong because everybody has
Mm-hmm.
some sort of validation to be where they're at in how
Mm-hmm.
they feel about what they feel.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at some point, there's this collective, just my take on this, at some point, there's this going to be this collective like surrender. We just go, all right,
Mm-hmm.
like this, this isn't working, folks. We're just at each
Mm-hmm.
other's throats or whatever, whatever, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I think that it's going to be our generation that brings this out. My sense is that it's going to be the younger generation that actually
Mm-hmm.
grows up and says, hey, look, this is
Mm-hmm.
messed up, folks.
Right.
This is messed up.
Right.
Have yourself a can of chill, and
Mm-hmm.
well, let us just kind of let
Right.
us uh, let us show you how it's done.
So there's like two polar opposites and they're separate, and then they start to sort of like come together and butt heads, and sort of like tension builds and it builds and it builds, and then at some point they come to a sort of a resolution, and then
Yeah,
we like move to a somehow that we can sort of hold both poles within a larger whole, and there's expansion. And you're
yeah.
saying
It's like
right now, where are we? Are we like
I
doing
think
this
we're in
right
this
now?
part where we're fighting, you know, because
Mhm.
there's still in the world right now, there is still the belief that like my religion is right and yours is wrong, and I've got the path and you
Mhm.
don't.
Mhm.
And you know, they talked about it. It's even in the Bible and in different sacred texts how there's going to be this period where the truth is just known throughout, where everyone just like you find out, you can't hide what
Mhm.
you've done or what you believe. And
Mhm.
we're at this point right now where what you believe has to be worn on your arm sleeve. Pardon the rhyme there,
Mhm.
but but this scenario, like this coronavirus, like there's no way to sit on the fence with this.
Mhm.
It's impossible. If you go to the grocery store,
Mhm.
just based on how you prepare to go to the grocery store indicates what you believe.
Mhm.
And you're out in front of everyone expressing that, whether you're wearing a face mask or
Mm.
whether you're not, you are expressing what you believe.
So like when I'm licking the chicken, so when I clean off the stroller handle with by licking it off, I'm giving a
Yes.
message about what I believe about.
Yes, when you're licking your shopping cart at the grocery store to clean off the handle.
when I
That's exactly
when I spit shine, I clean it off by spit shining it.
that's exactly it.
Hmm.
That's
You saying some
exactly.
people might not appreciate that viewpoint?
No, they might not. They might not. But
Sorry.
my deepest sense of all this is that, you know, we're not here to be separate. We're not here to be judgmental. We're not here to you know, we're not here to fight. That's really not what we're up to. Not anymore. And you know, like we talked about earlier, we're evolving, and we're evolving on a lot of levels, especially right now. And I really believe that where we're going is a place of harmony, where you simply accept, oh, you're that religion, and not only be accepting of it, be curious, like interesting, that is how you believe in God. Well, that's interesting. I'm
Mm.
fascinated and curious about
Mm-hmm.
your relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person goes, well, what's your relationship with, if this is how I'm doing it? How is it that you do it? And
Mm-hmm.
this is the point where we start to come together, where we start becoming tired of fighting over each other, and we get
Mm-hmm.
curious about what's going on in my neighbor's yard versus, like, I just want to pay attention to what's happening in mine.
Mm-hmm.
Where this separation and segregation starts to give way to collaboration and to interest and to
Mm-hmm.
curiosity. And that is the time when we start melding our ideas and energies with curiosity. We start to really evolve, because we can't evolve by being separate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Evolve by
Yep.
taking different things and bringing them together. That's how things evolve.
Mm-hmm. By going towards and being curious as opposed to instantly pushing it away,
Yeah, exactly.
which is what we, on some level, the way we're looking at the world of the microbes, we're wanting
Yeah,
to create a barrier and push it away,
yeah.
push all those bugs away from us.
Get out of here, bacteria.
Get out of here, viruses and bacteria.
That's it. Get out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Um,
do your
so
seems like
yeah,
now around now is the time that we
this,
ask your
yeah,
your your dudes, or I don't know if they're
yeah.
like guys and gals, I don't know what they have to say about things, and we haven't really landed on a specific topic, I guess, but
Well, there's some things
is
that
there
they
something
want
that's
to.
trying to come through?
Yeah, there's a juicy one in here, I
A juicy
think.
one.
A juicy one. Um,
What is that regarding?
oh,
or
yeah, okay.
or just want to let them go?
This is about where we're at and what we're there's gonna be some fortune telling in this one.
Fortune telling. All right.
Fortune telling, I don't even know what that means. I mean, yeah, like predicting, or
Uh-huh.
yeah, okay, here we go.
Predicting like the future. All
Yeah.
right, whatever, just let it rip, whatever.
All right, let's see what's. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the unrest that's happening in your planet. We want to let you know that you are at the beginning of a major cycle of disruption and dissatisfaction. There are going to be trials and tribulations that you will need to navigate through your own authenticity. That is to say, you will need to align yourself with your inner truth in order to navigate through what you are about to go through with any sense of harmony. You have been living in a world where you take other people's ideas into yourself, and you identify with those ideas and call that you. Right now, you are at a point in time where you are being faced with a thing that you believe can take your life away. In moments of desperation, a person's truth comes out. In a burning building, do you jump out the first window you can find, or do you grab valuables to take out the window with you? Or do you find your loved ones and make sure they are safely outside as well? In moments of challenge, a person's truth comes out. Right now, because of the ways that you as humans have decided to take one another's truths into yourselves and identify with them, because of this, you have lacked a certain level of authenticity. In this time, when your life is on the line, you are deciding who and what you truly believe in based upon your actions. Your actions differentiate you from other people. In this time, it is shuffling people into categories. You are all going to face troubling and challenging decisions in the future regarding what happens to you and to your health. What we are trying to say and what we want to share with you is that you must decide what works for you and what does not. Your government, your organizing organizations are going to start creating restrictions. They are going to start handing down guidelines. Some of you are going to agree with these guidelines. Others of you will not. Understand that what you are seeing now is gentle compared to where it will go at some point. You will need to make decisions that you truly believe in because you will believe that your life is on the line. What we would like to share with you is that this is forcing those who do not speak their truth, who do not demonstrate their truth, to empower themselves to begin doing so. Granted, there will be many who will again do what they feel is most appropriate based upon how others see them. There is only a smaller percentage that will buck the system, so to speak, and do their own thing. We would like to talk about your systems. Your systems have created the sickness you are enduring. It is less about the virus and more about the systems in place and more about an idea of limitation. The idea of limitation in this case is all about limiting action, limiting free will, and having control. If a population is separate, if a population is limited, a population is able to be controlled. There are many who subscribe to the propagation or to the ideas brought forward about how to live. The ideas that are brought forward from your organizing governments and businesses about how to live. There are many who believe in this hook, line, and sinker. This time for those people will be the most challenging because understand there are truths that have been buried that are now coming forward. Very few see the desperate scramble happening behind closed doors to keep certain secrets behind those closed doors. Understand you are in a time where you will see the deep betrayals that have been brought forward and have been getting brought forward for some time. There are those who will not want to believe what they are seeing, and they will deny it. There are those who will not want to see how deeply they have been misguided, deceived, and controlled. One of the facets of being a human is many of you like to be told what to do. You like to have a direction, and you like to walk in that direction, and you like to stay on a certain course and have a degree of familiarity within that course. Many of you have chosen to rely upon businesses and organizations to determine your course for you. Therefore, when you have times like these where disturbing facts get brought forward about what has actually been happening, those who have chosen to walk the path laid out for them by these organizations tend to be hit the hardest. There is going to be outrage in certain places in your world over this. Allow this process to happen. Deception, when it is unraveled and when it is seen, has to be met with another opposing energy. It has to be released. Disempowerment and subjugation, when it is seen, realized, and brought out, involves a deep release of energy from the being who had experienced it. This release is almost always in the form of anger. It is a natural biological process that is imbued within the DNA of your cells and in your being. Understand that this process, as it is endured, is also ascending and evolving your DNA into higher levels of emotional intelligence. Therefore, on the collective level, as this process unravels and as this happens, you are evolving your emotional intelligence on a collective level. This evolution takes place not just over the course of one person's life, but rather generationally. If you notice, the younger your youth, as they're being born now, have a far higher emotional intelligence than your elder generation. This is evolution at work. Understand that those who become angry, those who act out, and those who decide to disrupt, and those who decide to act out are doing so at the behest of the collective. They are dissipating the tension from the collective. This is a healthy process. How could this be? Understand that you are not, nor are you ever acting alone. You are always acting in the best interest of the collective. Always. There is no separation. You are all one, and you are all acting in the highest accordance of that which you are all acting in the highest accordance to the role that you chose to live. Therefore, as you are on your couch watching your television set, and you are watching the angry mob light cars on fire and roll them over and break windows out of the Capitol, and you have a sense of satisfaction of they are finally getting what they deserve, you do not need to be in that riot in order to have felt vindicated for the wrongs that were done to you. They are acting out for the collective. There are those who will judge those people. There are those who will call them heroes. It does not matter what your relationship is with them as they do that which they will do. What matters is that they are actually helping you to release, work through, and process your own anger, and they are simply acting out their roles to help out the collective. Understand as well that in this time, you have many who have been out of integrity for a long while. there are watchers. There are watchers who have been born and who are in place in governmental organizations and inside of your larger businesses who have seen what's been going on, have kept their mouths shut for quite some time, awaiting a certain signal event. You cannot possibly even know that you are this type of person until the event happens and you are triggered into action that you cannot hold back from. There are those who have this destiny in their DNA. There are those who are poised, who know things, who have been quiet, some of them for a very long time, who will not be able to be quiet any longer. They will be given the means to speak the truth of what they know has been going on for some time. There will be those, again, who will deny what is coming out. There will be those who embrace it. Again, you will find yourself on the fence, having to determine what is true, what is not true. And in truth, what matters is what you decide inside of yourself is true for you. What we speak of requires a high degree of trust. Trust is that which will bring forward the higher levels of emotional intelligence that we speak of. Trust involves a lack of separation. Trust involves a knowing of connection. Trust is always about reliance upon not only yourself, but your neighbor and the powers that be that go beyond your own understanding. This is where your science has fallen short and your spirituality has accelerated things. In that regard, it is going to be your spirituality or your spiritually inclined individuals who will help the most during this time. You see, science is based upon provable and unprovable, that which can be ascertained through thought or the senses. Those who are spiritual have trust. Those who are spiritual have opened up to that which could be. Therefore, it may be, and eventually it is. Understanding that trust involves seeing something that is not perceivable to the mind or to the senses in a given moment. However, given the nature of the planet with which you live in, that all is a reflection, that consistent energy applied in a certain area does indeed yield results. Therefore, trust in a greater world and the continued reliance upon that vision is what will make it so. It is also what is bringing about this great change. Of course, there are many other conditions, many other factors leaning into this. However, it is the trust of your spiritual ones who are helping this to be graceful. You have 4 challenging years in front of you. 4 challenging years that you will need to consolidate what you believe in and who you are. You cannot sit on the fence any longer. The truths that come out will be accurate. They will create a revolt in different areas. Understand that There are those who are in power now whose lack of integrity will shine through, and you cannot look away anymore. We want to share another piece with you. If you notice in the collective, and possibly even in yourselves, you have a wide variety of response to what is happening. Some are extremely fearful. Some are extremely joyful. Have you noticed in yourselves the emotional roller coaster that is happening? Sometimes you're up, sometimes you are down. And the extremes have gotten more extreme. This is a natural byproduct of the time. As you experience the extremes, there becomes a desire to sit more firmly in the middle. At this time, you are in a period of heightened ability to manifest that which your soul desires, which is one of the reasons why there is a heightened level of extreme, because you will want to get into the middle more devoutly. That middle ground is peaceful. This event and these 4 years are about evolution. You are ahead of the curve. It was projected by some of ours that this would last for several years. It is now being projected that you shall go through this closer to 4 years. That is good news. We want to encourage you to continue connecting with like-minded people. We say this not just for those who are seeing things in a positive light, but even those who are seeing things in a negative light. You see, even those who are buying into the great fear are serving a great purpose. They are holding the polarity of fear in place. So those who are intending can find the middle. They are essentially holding the door open for those who desire something different to walk through, till they themselves, who are bound in fear, can want something different as well, but do not know how to want what they have not been given because they have been following the status quo for so long. When they have been broken of seeing the status quo and government and business as being the higher authority, they will begin looking to the truths being spouted and being demonstrated in the grassroots. You will experience a time at some point where you will have extremists, as you would refer to them, who will seem to overnight mellow out. They too have served their role, and they themselves will have been complete when you see them mellow out. Just like Mother Nature, a storm passes through, creates its destruction, moves things here and there, and then when it's over, everything is a little different. This is what we would like to share with you now. Are there any questions that you would like to ask?
Uh, well, you did mention something about timing. Uh, yeah, since we're at it, can you you say that there are people, in our government that are of integrity and people that aren't? Is Can you name names?
This one we are speaking through does not know many people in government. We are giving him images to translate. There, oh wow. There are people who are there are people that we believe are dirty who will actually come be viewed as being clean or be viewed as having integrity. There are others who won't surprise us at all. There's a number of them that we thought were clean and are going to be not good at all. The biggest unraveling will happen not so much on the individual level, but more so in the structures of your own government and your own business, and more importantly, the relationship between the two. You have very, very few of your CEO, CFO, leaders of large organization who are actually in what you call integrity. There are a handful who are, who have the best of intentions. There are a handful, but you will see many who come forward who do not. Understand, you will see the formation at some point of a liaison type of organization that is part business and part government. This liaison organization will be established in a way of methodized transparency where the checks and balances that you have established in your current government that have been manipulated and turned into what it has become, similar principles will be imbued into this organization. Your millennials, your 20 somethings at this time, your 20 somethings, they didn't say millennials actually, they said they're 20 somethings. Your 20 somethings at this time will be the ones who bring about the greatest change in the structures of your society. They will be the thought leaders in how to restructure things. There will be ideas, there will be creations in the meantime that will get things up and going. But it is that generation and the way they think that will bring about the greatest change. The dawn of your golden age, the dawn of your realization of peace comes through your youngest generation at this time. Some of you will be here to see it in your current forms. Some of you will not. Some of you will be coming back as them. Understand, no matter where you are at this time, you will come back and you will not ever go through what you have gone through in this lifetime again. Is there any more questions?
Can you say anything about who you are? Who are you?
Blue avians. We are blue. We are blue. We are not the birds you have in your mind. We are akin to them. You would know the blue avians. We are akin to the blue avians. We are an alien race. We are here to help you. Some have called us the overseers. We have been called many things. We are those who have volunteered and been selected to be the ones to bring forward the information that humanity needs to move through this with grace. We are charged with giving you information that will enable you to be present to your current circumstances so that way you evolve as you yourselves, humanity, choose to evolve. And the information we give cannot interrupt that process. Therefore, we constantly measure the readiness in the collective for what to bring forward. And it is for you to determine how you bring it forward. We give you information. Your readers, interpreters, and your receivers are the ones who determine what you do with it. We cannot give you anything that would disrupt the chosen trajectories or the chosen realities that you have all made. We speak to this one often. He sees us as blue. We are. It's kind of hard to talk right now. They're doing something with me.
Getting rewired.
Yeah, it's on the back of my neck. We are rewiring your voice box. We're rewiring your throat. We're rewiring that block you have in your throat. There, isn't it better? You can sleep this off. Do you have any more questions?
At the moment, no. Thank you.
We think this is a good decision. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of what we need to bring forward. We appreciate your participation in the dissemination of this energy and this information. We salute you for what you have chosen to do, what you have chosen to emerge into. Thank you, and goodbye. Oh.
You okay?
Yeah. That was weird, man. That's the first time they've ever been like, yep, this is who we are. I've had people ask before, and I don't know.
Uh, maybe it seemed like from the get go, it seemed different. It had a different tone. Like I seen maybe this isn't the people. They had a little more. They had more oomph than I wondered if it was someone else than what we talked to the previous couple times.
I think it was. They're different. This is a different. That was a different feeling I had where it was
Mm-hmm.
coming from.
Mm-hmm.
It was different.
Are you familiar with the blue avians? Is that a term you've heard before?
I have heard of it
Mm-hmm.
before. It's in fact David Wilcox talks about the blue avians all
I
the
was gonna
time.
say, maybe no coincidence that we're all talking. I was talking about them, and then that.
Yeah, that they all of a sudden, hey, guess what? We got something to say. They're saying they know what we're doing, and they will be the ones who primarily talk through these dialogues. But other like places that I channel, there will be other groups that come through.
Hmm. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, yo.
Yeah. Wow. That's like sobering at first.
Yeah.
I kind
What
of get
the?
this sense again, like there's like no, I kind of have this, always have this sense like there's no one coming to save us. Like they kind of indicated, like we kind of have to get empowered. We got to see enough of a certain pole before we like are empowered to sort of like take action. And so
Yeah.
probably we're not going to get saved. We're going to have to save ourselves.
Yeah. We're we're on that track, for
And I
sure.
had questions about timing, and they kind of answered some things about timing. 4 years they were talking about, and other things, 20
Yeah.
somethings and 20 somethings and things like that. Uh, and then how the guy we're talking through, he doesn't know many names, so we're gonna have to we're gonna have
Yeah.
to
I was like, I'm like, wow, this will be cool. I'm really hope that like that'd be really great. I hope they start saying some people and they're like, nah.
but I don't know, that gives us some potential. I mean, whatever, makes
I
sense.
thought I thought it
people
was
who
interesting. Oh, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was
people who
totally
you
cut you
think
off.
are dirty turn out not to be dirty, and people who you think are clean turn out to be dirty, and of course.
Yeah, I thought that was wild. And the whole melding of like government and business, like there's like some like
Mm-hmm.
a hybrid organization
Mm-hmm.
that I thought was really almost like a business wing to the government kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Because like right now, I mean, we always talk about the separation between. Oh, yeah, isn't there? I was gonna say church and state, but um that's something else.
No,
But there's kind of a separation between. We'd like there to be a separation between government and business, but it seems like there is some. It seems like there is some melding of government and business right now, and that's kind of what's getting us into trouble. So I
yeah.
wonder what that means.
They I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
The strongest thing they in fact they're kind of giving this impression right now. The biggest thing that they want to do is give away give out the information that'll help things be graceful, but they
Mm-hmm.
can't spoil any surprises.
Yeah. Right.
They're like, if like let's say Trump is ends up being like the cleanest, most
Mm-hmm.
the biggest angel on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
he ends up actually being like the greatest saving grace ever since
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, that needs to be a part of what you experience.
Right.
They're kind
Right.
of going like, we can see it because we see
Uh-huh.
things, but you have to have the
Yeah.
experience of
You
it.
just gotta
You need
experience
to
it
have the, yeah, you can't,
in the
you can't
moment, in the now.
in the now.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. They did mention some specifics like shattering the windows of the Capitol building,
Yeah.
rioting.
Yeah.
Mm. So,
Yeah. Demonstrations.
hmm.
Demonstrations.
Hmm. Interesting.
And the other part is, over the last couple of weeks, they've been saying some of the information that's been come through. They've been saying like you're ahead of schedule, like you're doing
Mm-hmm.
exceedingly well. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is tremendously smooth compared
Mm-hmm.
to what they thought was going to go down.
Mm.
And that when they showed that you know there's the potential of a 7-year trajectory, and they're going, well, it's actually going to be closer to 4, but they're actually kind of showing like this shaded area where it's like that 7-year period. It's almost like it's creeping down like
Mm.
this, like they're almost showing like maybe even a little bit less than 4, like
Hmm.
maybe 3 and 3/4
Hmm.
type of thing. They're just like and
Seems
it's all on frequency. They're saying it's all on frequency. There'll still be isolated incidents that will be disturbing to see and to go through, but the general frequency of where we see humanity is what we refer to when we talk about these things. You will always have the isolated incidences after the fact for a period of time. We speak to the general frequencies, the overall frequency of humanity when we give you these timelines. Your own countries, certain countries themselves, may still be in absolute disarray. However, understand that everything balances and it is the general frequency that we refer to. There it is.
All right. Well, seems
Well,
like a good place to stop, huh?
yeah, I'm shot, man.
Like fried, like need to rest or like what?
Oh, I gotta go for a run. I gotta get out and move around. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Well, this has been the New Consciousness Now podcast.
New consciousness. Pow.
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 Yeah, for sure. With Dr. J. Eaker and Gail Wolf.
Yes, sir.
And we both can be found on the interwebs and other places. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Thanks for listening. Oh, where can we find you, Dr. J. Eaker?
www.biosoulintegration.com.
Biosoulintegration.com. Love
And
it.
Biosoul Integration can be found also on YouTube, my YouTube channel, wherever you listen to podcasts, and other social platforms like Facebook and Instagram and the like.
Nice.
And you?
Nice. My website is up and coming. It's GaleWolf.com. That's GALEWULF.com. And I'm also on Facebook and Catalyst Rising. And YouTube is just Gale Wolf. And Instagram is Gale Wolf. And I'm Gale Wolf.
Great.
Yay.
All right. Go
Right on, man.
go take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. Take care.